Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the accuracy of medical information received via mass media. So, kind of getting into it with this social change model project here. I kind of focused on that first course topic and just kind of bouncing off of it with the how reliable and accurate is information we receive using mass media, just kind of shifting that into our topic that we're talking about today. Like I mentioned, we're going to be covering the accuracy of medical information received via mass media itself. Just kind of getting into things here. So, with the thesis, kind of the general idea here is my thesis is those who are seeking further information on health related subjects should be able to be directed towards accurate sources, which I strongly believe in. Because I mean, I myself, I definitely have struggled with trying to find accurate health information as I was trying to progress through my personal health. Journey there last year before I got an actual medical diagnosis from doctors. But kind of addressing the problem here, patients aren't always given an explanation, more just a diagnosis. So with that, a lot of time, now I know with this, sometimes doctors, it isn't always easy for them to give an explanation depending on the situation. Um, for example, if they don't have enough information about something, or if they don't necessarily know a whole lot about that thing, like there may be information out there, it's just not well known to them because it may be like a certain type of doctor with like a certain specialty, or even just like your general family doctor may not even know that much into one certain type of thing, where it could be regarding like cardiology or neurology, or any type of specialist that you would have to see to get more in depth on it. Um, I do agree though that I mean they should still try their hardest to give an explanation where they can. Like I mentioned that because I mean they try to do as much as they can up to a certain point, but then at that point that's when they kind of refer you to those specialists. That way you can get the information that you need from that specialist, coming from their mouth. They're saying, hey, like this is kind of what we're looking at. This is what I'm seeing here. This is kind of what we're thinking it is, kind of type of thing. Um, Now, with the information they receive, it is kind of hard for them to remember or retain as far as the patient's side. Because, I mean, patients, they can have a lot of information thrown at them all at once. If it is a severe condition that may have a greater emotional toll on someone, it is going to be very hard for that person to retain all of the information orally given to them. I mean, for example, if a doctor told you that you had a terminal cancer and you only had 10 years left to live, your mind isn't going to be thinking about focusing on what the doctor is saying after that. It's going to be thinking about what comes next, what you're going to do to prepare those around you, and it's just going to be racing up and down the halls trying to figure out just all sorts of different things. And it's not going to really be like there in the moment because it's just going to be a pure emotional shock. So that's kind of where it would help to have something kind of going out to these patients. That way they can retain the information that they receive. Um, and kind of that third bullet point there with those who want to know more, turn to the internet. Now, turning to the internet isn't always a bad thing. The bad thing with it, though, is when you do turn to the internet, you end up getting an unreliable source that may misinform you about something and can lead you down like the wrong path. Not saying you always will get an unreliable source, but there is those sources out there that aren't necessarily 100% the truth or 100% accurate, and so it's going to kind of lead you astray or give you misinformation or communication about a condition or a symptom of something or something that may even not happen or even relate to you. But just kind of moving on from there. Um, One of the examples of misinformation that somebody kind of received from the internet. So the misinformation that was originally in this article could have had life changing consequences itself. In the podcast, the host, Adi Cornish, has a guest, Jacob Margolis, who talks about how he and his wife had a close call when it came to food and how it could affect his wife. So he says here, and like any terrified first time parents, we turned to Google for answers. But as we looked at the results, I noticed that some of the answers were questionable and that some of them were flat out wrong. So to find more, I called up Dr. Lena Shakar Nathan, an OBGYN at UCLA Health. I looked up the question, can pregnant women eat eggs? Here's what Google had to say. According to Mom Junction, during your pregnancy, you need to cook eggs properly until both the white and yolk turn solid. That's true, says Nathan, because salmonella poisoning is a concern, but Mom Junction continues. Though salmonella poisoning will not harm your baby, it can be unpleasant for you as it could cause abdominal pain. Salmonella poisoning can actually be very dangerous for pregnant women, After I asked Mom Junction about the post, they changed it to say that it's unlikely to harm your baby. That way, he also kind of he did see that information online kind of in the first place there, but he had questions about it, which is always a good thing to kind of necessarily have more questions regarding it, because that way you can kind of learn more and get more in depth about what you're wanting to know about. And he also did something I really like too, where he called up an actual doctor to see, hey, is this legit? Like, is this what we're reading here? Is this going to be good information to have, or is this kind of leading us on the wrong path, leading us astray type situation? Now, there is a couple different ways to fix this problem itself. One of the main ones that can be done is providing patients with notes on their file that they could access, so like digitally, um, at home, or even if they like call the office could be like, hey, could go over stuff with them as well. Say, hey, this is kind of what we're looking at here with your file type situation. Um, Another way to fix the problem could be giving the patient with paperwork that has trusted sources of information. That way, they have places they can be directed to on the internet. That way, they're not just getting sent off and saying, "Hey, have at it," and they go on the internet and they get down rabbit holes left and right, and just giving them incorrect information, and so then they're just kind of getting confused, and then it leads to a lot longer conversation with the doctor in the long end, because then the doctor's like, no, well, that's not correct, that's not correct, that's not correct, and it's like, well, I thought all this was, and just kind of goes run around chasing each other's tails at that point. Now, with here in the Treasure Valley, St. Luke's Hospital does a great job of kind of helping to fix this problem here. They have their own patient portal slash website called MyChart, and I'm pretty familiar with it myself because I have seen quite a few specialists in the valley here. So this is just kind of taking a few screenshots, looking over here at the MyChart. So with it itself, I definitely tried to kind of black out some of my information there, since this is kind of my portal. That way we can kind of see a little bit more of what it kind of gives us. So that first one there on the top left, we see just kind of that main dashboard where it shows a lot of your information. It kind of has your different locations. That way it kind of breaks it down for you, makes it kind of user friendly. With that bottom left image, we're showing that resources tab, and I wanted to make sure that I got a screenshot of that one specifically, because there you can see where it has that search medical library, where it has an option for you to search up these different like conditions and symptoms and whatnot. That way you can be directed towards reliable sources from the hospital's website itself. That gives you good information to have. It also has research studies, education, as well as learning libraries. So again, just compounding upon that information with reliable sources, because it's just backed by the hospital itself and it's coming directly from their website. And that top right one is kind of showing how it would happen if you do a search result, because I did put in POTS, which is what I have, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, and that just kind of breaks it down. Just kind of briefly shows you what that search result would look like when you do find something on their website. There it has that St. Luke's logo up there at the top. Obviously, it's coming directly from their page. It doesn't take you off to like some third-party website saying, "Oh, hey, like this is definitely accurate, but we're gonna send you away to this different place." No, it's just still retained within their system itself. But kind of going off that there with the my chart. So I mean, if a lot of different hospitals had options like that, where you could have some sort of like electronic or digital file, that way you could access your notes and your past appointments, and you could see kind of what you went over with your doctor. Because I mean, if you're like me with my ADHD, I have a very poor short-term memory span and retention. So I mean, I don't always necessarily retain a lot of the information that's given to me by doctors. So having the option there to be able to then go back and view my notes and view kind of the summary. I've been like, okay, this is kind of what happened within that appointment. This is what the doctor said. Here are the notes. This is kind of what's happening next, sort of that like game plan and whatnot. So that's what I would really hope to see the hospitals do in the future, and that we can kind of go towards that changing to where then we give these patients accurate and reliable information to kind of send them off with, and that way they're not just kind of left to their own devices at that point. All right. Well, I greatly appreciate your time and taking the time to view this video, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you.